Put your hands together for another keynote speaker, Dr. James Kiliku, Kenyatta University lecturer.
My role here is to present a case based from our perspective on business, how the issue of solid waste can present a diversity of opportunities that entrepreneurs can be able to venture in and be able to offer solutions to this problem. So allow me to go straight to a number of developments that set the stage for us to be able to identify the opportunities. I believe my colleagues who are appearing on the stage will be able to address some of the basics about solid waste, like the various types and how the various types of waste come into being so that they present a problem that we now have to manage. So my part is to look at how the problem that we are currently experiencing of waste becomes a source of business opportunity, and then looking at it from a business management point of view, what we suggest and recommend to be the way forward. Now, from the point of the circular economy, we identify one aspect that we can find is one source of the problem. First, it is the model that has been used to manage waste in most cities, especially in African settings. And we find it is one that has been based on collecting and disposing. And in our analysis, that is based on a model that is linear. So solid waste has been managed on the basis of a linear model, and in that linear model, we are finding that there are limitations in that we only produce for consumption without providing an opportunity to be able to go beyond the consumption part of it. And when you look at the attempts that have been made by both the public sector, where we have the counties, and private sector organizations that have been contracted, much of the activities that they have been doing have had to do with collection and dumping. And if we are using the case of Nairobi, the collection mostly within the markets and within some residential areas, and then dumping and the dump site in Dandora. And along that, there have been a number of challenges, environment-related, health-related. And even when that has been the case, we have seen that within the linear model that has been used, there has been a limitation in that we've not been able to collect every amount of waste that has been generated in our households, in industrial settings, and in our CBD. And so, given that limitation, the challenges continue, and we are now looking at how to inject a more robust approach to be able to enhance the capacity of our urban centers to be able to address the problem of waste management. And so the aspect of a new model that comes from the circular economy. And in the circular economy, from the term itself, we are looking at a closed-loop approach whereby we expand the scope within which we are looking at resources such that we are able to make maximum use of resources so that they are not just used for production to make goods for purposes of consumption, but we can be able to extend the life of products that are produced. And if I am to capture one statement that has been given to describe the circular approach or circular economy, it is a regenerative system in which resource inputs and waste emission and energy leakages are minimized by slowing, closing, and narrowing energy and material loops, which can be achieved through long-lasting design, maintenance, repair, reuse, remanufacturing, refurbishing, recycling, and upcycling, so that once products have been made and they have been consumed and they have lived up to their end of their life cycle, another cycle can begin to generate new value based on the model, so that we can redesign and we can position or reposition that commodity for another use. So that aspect of circular economy is presented as an alternative to the traditional linear economy model that was based on making, using, and disposing. The disposal aspect is the one that has driven us to the problem that we are currently finding ourselves in, because we have made products, we have consumed, and then the waste that comes out of our production and out of our consumption, it has produced so much of quantities of waste materials that we are now finding ourselves experiencing problems in how to handle that. So within the circular model, we are now asking ourselves where opportunities arise for us to be able to inject an aspect of business orientation to be able to address the problem. And we are recommending that adoption of this circular approach to waste management is more sustainable than the linear model that has been used, because we are facing the reality of aspects that were not they were not a reality a few years ago, like the simple aspect of scarcity. When we were relatively young in school and we were doing economics, the term scarcity of resources was much more suited for existence in the dictionary. It was not a reality, especially those of us who come from Africa. Resources were plenty, water, natural, food, and all that. And that is no longer the case. Scarcity is now becoming an experience of almost all the economies. So given that that is the experience, how do we make sure that we can make use of the resources that are available to produce much more, and make sure that we are able to save much more on the resources that are available to be able to sustain the economy and productive capabilities of our industries? So when we look at the tenets of the model for green circular economy, we find that it is based on the ability to design out waste and pollution. We are able to keep products and materials in use, and we are able to regenerate natural systems so that we can be able to do much more with the few resources that we have. And when you look at the strategy proposed by NEMA on waste management, it appreciates the contribution of this so that we go a circular way. So given that it has received that support from other stakeholders, from a business point of view, then we are asking ourselves, out of that report, what is it that they found that we can be able to take advantage of. And looking at the case of Nairobi, we are finding that there is lack of awareness on part of the residents, producers, and the value chain itself faces various capacity challenges. Then issues of access to land for doing some of the activities that would expand the existing linear model. Then the appropriate technology that is needed to be able to expand, and the technical and management training that is required, and the infrastructure, plus the political will to be able to enact appropriate laws to support expansion of a model. And so within that, where do the opportunities come from? We can find that waste in itself is a resource, as opposed to looking at it as from the negative aspect that it is waste. It is a resource, and in that resource we can be able to expand so that instead of dumping, we can do decomposting, and we can be able to recycle. And in the recycling, you can be able to reposition that which we've been using as waste for other uses. And when you are repositioning it for that, the various activities that might have to come in, as like for example, establishing waste sorting centers, installing compost facilities, and then developing the market so that you create awareness for compost products, and you're able to establish opportunities for recycling industries, and then you're able to provide avenues for organic waste technologies to be posted. And so when we look at those activities, we find from an entrepreneurial point of view, because an entrepreneur is driven by the opportunity. And in that opportunity, they are looking at how they are able to raise revenue. So a number of activities that the entrepreneur who has capital, or they have the desire to be able to venture into this sector and be able to generate, you can find that in the waste collection itself, somebody can be able to charge fees. When you recycle, you can be able to sell that recycled commodity at a fee. Then the compost that comes out of the waste, it can be sold, and then some of the materials that can be recycled for further use in industry and in households, they can be sold again as products. And so that presents avenues for us to be able to position this waste management as a societal problem that willing entrepreneurs can be able to venture into and be able to make good revenue out of. And then out of the list of various categories of waste, like for example plastics, we can find items like paper, cartons, like in our schools, in our colleges, in our universities. We have a lot of material that is used for examination. Storage is a problem. Opportunities are there. Those materials can be recycled and take care of that problem of storage. We have other types of material like glass, bottles, metals, e-waste substances, leather materials, shoes, and other kinds of organic materials that can be recycled. Those are opportunities and items that entrepreneurs can be able to take advantage of. And when we compare ourselves where we are with what has happened in other cities, a model for entrepreneurship has been developed that goes by the name purpose-driven entrepreneurship, that seeks to address urban-based challenges from an entrepreneurial point of view, so that the limitations of resources and scarcity of investments that the government might be facing, pulling together various stakeholders can be able to take advantage of this opportunity, invest their resources, and solve this problem for the society, our cities, and be an aid to our government. Thank you.